everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the March love outlook for the sign of Aries. Alright, my lovely Aries, you're up. I just have the fire signs to do, and all 3 fire signs for March will be up today, which is Saturday, February 22nd. The other 9 signs are already up, and so if you're cross-watching, you can, of course, go over there and check those out. But for right now, let's go ahead and get into your March outlook. We're going to pull out a full Celtic spread for you. And this is going to be just to look at one general love outlook into one particular situation, right? It's not going to resonate with everyone out there, certainly. And that's why we have different videos, and that's why we have different readers and different channels. Because if this reading doesn't resonate, if it's not for you, if it doesn't apply to your situation, just let it go, and perhaps another reader or another channel will have the reading that you require. Okay, so let's just take it that way, and then we can all kind of enjoy it. All right, so let's just see. Aries, lovely, lovely Aries. My sister sign. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm a fire sign. And I'm not going to get into sounding off what sign you may or may not be dealing with just because you have a court card in a suit. That is a misnomer, and it's a misguided way of telling people what they may be dealing with, because it completely ignores the fact that we are all more than our sun signs, right? We have an entire natal chart with many, many different aspects. So it's kind of... it's just ridiculous for me to tell you that you might be dealing with a Libra. What does that mean? Somebody with a sun in Libra? Somebody may have a sun sign in Libra, but they may be mostly water in their chart and hardly resonate with Libra energy, right? Or somebody may have Cancer sun and have a lot of Libra in their chart, and they may still be the person that you're dealing with. So I'm not going to give you that red herring. All right, guys. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the energies surrounding your situation. All right, guys, straight out, we have a 2 of Pentacles covered with the Wheel of Fortune. 5 of Cups. 8 of Cups. Ace of Swords. Hanged Man. High Priestess. Wow. 10 of Wands. Interesting. 6 of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Right away, finances are an issue with regard to your love life and your outlook. There has been a pain, there has been a heartache somewhere along the line. There has certainly been separation. I think there's a desire definitely to move on from a separation or a difficult relationship. Let's look at the bottom. Okay, there we have your Knight of Cups. Okay. Now, normally, this is the example I was meaning. Normally, you'll hear a reader say, oh, Knight of Cups, you could be dealing with a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. The only reason people say that is because cups are water. And so they sound off the 3 water signs. But the problem with that, my lovely Aries, is that, like I said, we are much more than our sun signs. And so, you know, this Knight of Cups could literally be anyone. We're talking about energy, the energy of the Knight of Cups, right? And so it could be any sun sign. You know, it could be a Taurus. It could be a Leo. It could be whatever. You know, the sun sign is really kind of neither here nor there. We're talking about somebody who would resonate with the Knight of Cups, and let's get right into that. The Knight of Cups is someone who wants to come towards you, right? And that's not only going to be a water sign. It could be any sign, right? But the energy here is that Knight of Cups is generally someone who is beginning to learn and understand their own feelings, right? They're only just beginning to scratch the surface of their feelings, which is why we have the water in the card showing up as only like a little stream, because this individual still hasn't really quite gotten to know themselves, right? This is one of the reasons why the Knight of Cups is oftentimes considered a very sort of flighty knight, not very committed. You know, here one day, gone the next day. It's not so much that the Knight of Cups individual intends to hurt your feelings, but it's because they themselves oftentimes don't know themselves very well just yet. They're only just beginning to know themselves. And so, yes, the one day that they tell you they love you and they're really into you, they mean it. And the next day when those feelings have changed and they maybe are ghosting or they leave or they just, are not very committed, right? Like they were a minute ago. That's genuine as well, right? And I don't think that a person who resonates with the Knight of Cups sets out to manipulate you or sets out to hurt you. It's just that they themselves are really not so sure of their feelings and who they are just yet, and they're just beginning to learn that. Nevertheless, though, a Knight of Cups is someone who wants to sweep you off your feet. They want to come into you and create a romantic connection, because it's through this connection that they do, in fact, explore and understand their own heart and feelings. And so this is at the bottom of the deck. And I'm going to come back to it because this is certainly an energy, this Knight of Cups individual, or this energy of the Knight of Cups is running through your reading since it is at the bottom of the deck. So let's get right into your center cards, Aries. We have a Two of Pentacles and a Wheel of Fortune covering that Two of Pentacles. So this is very interesting because throughout the weeklies, the Two of Pentacles has been showing up. And I think for a lot of the other March love outlooks, the Two of Pentacles have been showing up. Cross watchers, you're going to know what I mean. And a lot of that is because a lot of us in March are going through a lot of financial ups and downs, right? March is a very tumultuous time coming up for all of us. It was certainly for my collective and for those that my readings are geared towards. You may find another reader or another channel and they have a completely different outlook on March, and their readings are for a different portion of the collective, okay? But for my collective, Two of Pentacles has been showing up a lot, and it's really to indicate that although a lot of you have had a very good 2020 outlook in general for the year, there is going to be months where things are up and down. And March is one of those chaotic months, right? It's one of those months where we're trying to sort of even everything out. A lot of us may be changing jobs. You may be juggling multiple jobs. You may be even juggling multiple career opportunities as you sort of settle into your next level. I do talk about leveling up a lot on my channel, and a lot of times when you are leveling up your abundance or you're leveling up your financial stability or the amount of or rather your financial status rather, if you're leveling that up from maybe a lower status, maybe less abundance to higher abundance, there's still a lot of chaos that's involved before it evens out. Right? And Two of Pentacles is indicative of that. It also talks about it being very emotional. This is an extremely emotional time. And so this is naturally going to impact a lot of us in terms of our love lives. Because if we're going through something with our career and our business that is impacting us on an emotional level, that is also going to impact all areas of our lives where we are emotional. And of course, that involves love too. And I think for you, Aries, this is the case. This month, you're really dealing with a lot here, right? You're trying to deal with a lot of upheaval. I think you're juggling a lot of responsibilities, right? Keeping a lot of balls in the air right now. And so this is really going to impact the energy you have towards any kind of love connection. Covered with the Wheel of Fortune, there is, however, beautiful opportunities coming in during this very chaotic and tumultuous time, Aries. Very, very good opportunities. And I'm going to say, when we talk about a love connection or a love reading, this Wheel of Fortune also talks about awesome opportunities in love coming in. Right? There is an opportunity in love coming in for you, or there may even be multiple opportunities, and it's really all about the one that you take, right? So we'll get back to the Wheel of Fortune. We do have a Five of Cups and a Eight of Cups, right? So now Five of Cups is in your focus, and the Eight of Cups is in the back of your mind. So in your focus, you have, I think this March, you will be thinking a lot about a past relationship or a past connection that is now over, and it's really hurting your heart, right? It's really taking a lot for you to still get over this individual. It could be that, It could be getting over the individual. It could just be getting over how something went down, the way it broke up or the way it fell apart. A lot of times, Five of Cups is a real pessimistic sort of viewpoint. You're right. It's kind of like, I want to say, a little bit of wallowing in that past energy, because part of it is also a Two of Cups. The two cups are there upside, right side up, and to let you know that, you don't have to live in the past, or you certainly don't have to let past experiences color the way the future is going to be. Your future will indeed have new opportunities for love. Wheel of Fortune, right? And so you really have to just lift your head. Five is a number for power struggle. With Five of Cups, we have an internal power struggle with ourselves, right? Do we succumb to the despair and and the sort of sadness of the past, or do we have the strength to sort of rise above that and still maintain an optimistic outlook for the future, or at least give it a chance? And so you're going to be busy with that this month to a certain degree. In the back of your mind, you do have an Eight of Cups, and so it can be that you're the one who made the choice to leave, right? Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is a decision to leave a relationship that you're sick of kind of pouring all your energy into, that you are, you realize you put so much energy into it, you didn't get anything back. It was, it was a waste of time. The connection never really got deeper. And so you made a concerted effort to leave. You decided, look, I need more in a relationship. But it feels to me like, yes, you made this decision, but now you're the one who turned your back. Now you're maybe regretting it a little bit, Aries. It could be that, I'm surprised the Judgment hasn't shown up. Well, there it is. I thought I had seen it earlier. Because a lot of times Judgment talks about when you have had a certain amount of experience and time going by, sometimes you realize that certain decisions of the past maybe didn't have to go that way. You begin to sort of let go of your hypercriticism or your very sort of black and white stance that you had on a position, and you realize that, there were different viewpoints. Maybe it could have been handled a little bit differently. I think that you are in the throes of this, Aries. It could be that indeed, since you left this individual, the way you left this individual may have been in a very sort of, or the way you sort of broke the connection may have been very, very sort of harsh, right? Just like, boom, I turn my back and I leave. I think part of that is you now, having had some time, I'm going to say I believe that this breakup probably happened some time ago, could have even been up to a year or two ago. And since that time, the various experiences you've had, maybe even in your love life or in general, have got you now in March looking back on that decision, and you're wondering, shit, I wonder if I really made the right choice, or did I have to do it the way I did it? Did I have to completely close the door, right? It could be that at the time you were angry, you may have well been within, you may have had a good reason to turn your back, but it could be that the way you turned your back didn't really leave any room for reconciliation, and now you're realizing that indeed maybe reconciliation would be nice. In any case, this happens to all of us. Sometimes we do look back on certain decisions and realize that maybe we could have handled it differently. And of course, this is really all about you addressing that, right? Could be one of the reasons why you have the Knight of Cups here, in the sense that you may be willing to say, look, I want to go back into that person. I want to go back towards that person and maybe at least repair it, or fix it so that we can still be friends, or so that we can still be connected. I feel like you missed the connection with them to a certain degree, right? You missed the connection. I feel like maybe you have found out that indeed the relationship maybe it wasn't right for you, but a friendship could have been right. And maybe you threw the baby out with the bathwater and now there's not even a friendship and you kind of miss this individual. Ace of Swords and Hanged Man comes in. So these are the energies that you're coming into March with, and the energy you're rounding your month off with. Well, you come into the month with really clear thinking. And I think this is another reason why you have this internal struggle now, because I think that a lot of things have become clear to you that maybe you did not know before. Right? Clarity is what the Ace of Swords brings, and a lot of times it almost brings information that can make you feel a little bit vindicated. Now, in this scenario, I almost wonder if the information that you have coming in is kind of vindicating the person that you left. It could be that you may have left that person based on faulty information. It could be that you have left, or that you caused, this situation was caused based on interference from others, faulty information, people who sought. There may have been somebody, undermining the relationship, with gossip and backstabbing and all kinds of sort of negative energy. And yes, the relationship and the communication succumbed to that. But now it seems that either information or an understanding or clarity in some way has come into you, Aries, and you realize that maybe all of that was a bit faulty. Maybe you put all your eggs into a basket that wasn't correct. In any case, the Ace of Swords definitely brings new understanding for you. And I think you see things a lot more clearly now than you ever have before. You round the month off with with the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is all about inspiration coming in. I think you're going to be inspired, right, to move on this situation. It could be that indeed this situation ended and remained separated and no contact. I feel like you probably didn't have any contact with this person for quite some time. You may have been seeing them or around in your social group, but no contact, no speaking, no talking, no texting. And now it seems to me that inspiration is coming in for you, and it's really waking you up to the fact that you want to put more effort in. I think you want to put more effort in. I think you want to do something about it before there's more time that goes by, that you just allow this relationship or this past connection to just get further and further away from you. And I think a lot of this inspiration has to do with, interestingly enough, your monetary situation right now. It could very well be that there was some kind of connection to do with money or finances, career, or business that somehow impacted this relationship in the past, or may have even impacted the way the relationship broke up or the way you broke up the relationship. And now that you are experiencing certain difficulties or certain upheaval, rather, right? It's not necessarily so much difficulties, but just chaos that you're having to deal with. There's certain aspects of your current financial, career, business situation that is hearkening back to this relationship. And I think you're that's going to be one of the reasons why you have new clarity now. It could be that you broke up because you had a certain impression of their finances or of their, their particular sort of abundance level, right? And you may have, for instance, you may have thought this person was a gold digger, example, right? Maybe you thought this person that you broke up with, their ultimate motive was to be a gold digger or to take you for your money in some kind of way, male or female, doesn't matter. And now that you're going through some of the chaotic situation in your own sort of career, finance, and business area, you may be seeing some of the same signs that your person was going through and realizing that maybe they weren't a gold digger. Maybe it was just that their situation was a little bit up and down and you made a judgment on it, that was incorrect. So in this way, if you understand what I'm saying, in this way, it's almost as if your current experience with your career is sending you back to this relationship and you're realizing that maybe you had the wrong impression and maybe you made a very life-changing decision, long-term decision to break up with somebody based on an impression that now you realize you didn't have 100% right. And so in comes Ace of Swords, because now the clarity is there for you. You can see now what they were going through. It's very similar. And you realize, oh shit, I got rid of this person thinking they were one way when in fact they were dealing with something all by themselves that now I'm having to deal with. And now I have so much more empathy and understanding and compassion. And I realized that they weren't sort of trying to hurt me at all. They were just going through some tough times. All of this serves as inspiration, I think, for you to really move on this. You come into the month with the High Priestess, and you are met with 10 of Wands. Your attitude towards love this month, and it's a real sort of spiritual attitude that you're taking. I think that a voice has been inside of you for quite some time about this relationship. It could be that, yes, in fact, this relationship broke up, but throughout this entire time that you were broken up, there may have been a lot of very strange, like, spiritual coincidences. You think about them and then you see them, or, you hear a song and, you know what I mean? Those kind of omens and coincidences that keep sort of bringing you back to this connection. Your intuition keeps telling you that this is the person you're really in love with, that you guys are actually really meant to be with each other, because these coincidences seem to keep happening, perhaps, or these omens seem to keep coming in. And I think that this month, your attitude toward the whole thing is much more intuitional. I think you're much more willing to follow that voice inside of you rather than your head, because I think it was your head, right, that made you make, if this is the case, and we're talking about resonating, if you're resonating with this message, then I think it was your head and your so-called logical side, right, or our so-called logical side, that made you make this decision despite your intuition, right? And now this month, you're very much sort of like, no, I'm not going to go with my head. I'm going to go with my intuition, because my intuition is steering me right. You're met with a 10 of Wands energy, which is a feeling of really sort of letting down the burden, right? The energy of letting down the burden. I think you've been carrying some, some hang-ups, right? You've been carrying some baggage around with you. And I think that by listening to your intuitional voice this month, in general, with regard to love and to relationships, aside from this connection, you are also doing some healing, Aries, and some growing and some learning. And I think that this entire scenario has really taught you something about yourself and the way you've approached love connections in your life, or in the recent past of your life. And I think that you are also working on these issues for your own self this March, and really letting go some of the baggage that you've accumulated. For instance, right, one of the baggage that you could have accumulated, and I call this baggage, these 10 of Wands is baggage. When I go back to my example here, of, maybe you had a faulty impression of this person. That impression that you formed that caused you to break up with them in this sort of really kind of harsh way, if it was indeed harsh, may have been due to the fact that you had previous experience, right? Maybe you did have an experience with somebody who was a gold digger, or who was only interested in your money or what you could offer them in the past, and you allowed that experience to become sort of baggage, right? You've allowed it to sort of color the way you look at people. And so that was the reason why this happened. And so now this month in March, you're realizing that about yourself. You're realizing that, damn, I allowed my experience with not such a great relationship in my further past fuck up and what is actually a good relationship and a good connection, or a good love connection with somebody here in my recent past. And, I have to take responsibility for that, right? And I think that through that, you're laying it down. That's what 10 of Wands is all about. It's laying it down, burden, baggage, things that you've been carrying around with you that have become so oppressive and have really sort of, in the end, served to sort of block you from any real growth, block you from making any real decisions for yourself. They are making the decisions, which is why you can see the figure leaning on the wands there. It's almost as if the wands are leading him and not himself. And if you look at the wands as baggage and hang-ups and attitudes, modes of behavior that we've held on to, it's that stuff right? That's actually running your life and not you. And so you have to lay it down so that you can have vision again, so that you can stand upright and really make your decisions based on what is good for you. Six of Cups and Queen of Pentacles. Interesting. Six of Cups is a desire that you have. So this is your ultimate wish for the month, is to get back to this pleasurable relationship you had with this person. I think it was a really nice relationship. I think that despite everything that went down at the time when you were with them, you had a Six of Cups, which is really, it's the card for pleasure. It's the card for soulmates. It's the card for just having a really good rapport with someone, connection with someone, communication with someone. I think that's what you miss very much. And it's interesting that you will round off the month with a Queen of Pentacles. This reminds me probably of the person that you are looking at, right? Because part of Queen of Pentacles energy is generally somebody who puts their heart and soul into their business, into their career, right? And it doesn't feel like this is you. Yes, of course, you're putting that into your career, but you're at the center right now. You're dealing with a lot of ups and downs, right? And it seems to me that, you know, this is in a position of your outcome for March. And Queen of Pentacles is somebody who puts their blood, sweat, and tears into their work, you know. It could also be that you decide to do that, right? It could be that you decide part of what your decision is now is to put all of your efforts into your career and your business. I want to say in an effort maybe to not have to think about this situation, or maybe to not have to think about any new love connection, because I don't know that you're ready to move on to a new love connection. It feels to me like you very, very much want to reconcile with this person. And so in a lot of ways, it could very well be that the Queen of Pentacles is sort of indicating that rather than putting any energy in new connections or dating or anything like that, you want to really funnel all of that into making sure that you're financially stable so that you can indeed go back to this connection, or maybe go back to talking to this person again. Remember, ultimately, at the end of the day, there was an issue of finances, I think, that impacted this breakup in the first place. And it could very well be that you're not really ready to reconcile with this person, or to go back and try to rebuild this relationship until you feel that you are absolutely where you want to be with your career and your business, right? So that this issue of money, or so that the, you know, that whole sort of question mark is not a question mark anymore. Do you know what I mean? So that your financial stability is at a level where you're, first of all, not threatened or worried about somebody necessarily taking what you have. You're willing to share what you have, but more than that, it's just not an issue anymore, right? Because you're on top of it, you're in control of it, you set certain boundaries, so you don't have to worry about that being an issue, right? It's just very interesting that you will go straight into your career or your business and financial status out of all of this for March. Can very well be that while you are still deciding how to come back, and I do think you're wanting to come back to this union, you're not going to be comfortable going back to this union until you are where you want to be financially. Right, and it could be based on, and that could also be based on how this breakup went down. It could be that certain things were said, right, or whatever, that makes you feel like you don't feel right necessarily trying to connect to this person until you're completely right with your money. You know what I mean? And somehow, you'll know what I mean. If this reading resonates with you, Aries, you'll know exactly what I mean about that. All right, guys, this is your March outlook. It's very specific to a very sort of specific situation. The one thing I can tell you is that I think that the feelings were mutual, because Six of Cups is generally a mutual feeling of pleasant, happy, pleasurable, a feeling of soulmate connectedness between the both of you. It's generally not a one-sided energy. And so if you are wondering whether this other person also shared these, very strong feelings, I think they did. And remember, I do get the impression that you were the one who did the breaking up here. So this is very much sort of not a question that they didn't care about you, but more a question of how will you now be able to go back, or are you going to be able to go back to them and say, hey, you know what? I still care about you. I still think about you. And I think that I might have made a mistake. All right, guys. I hope this resonates. I hope you enjoy it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to get a shout out on the monthly love readings for your sun sign, all you have to do is be a member on my channel. But you can go ahead and check that out in the description. But for right now, Aries, do have a wonderful, wonderful rest of February and a wonderful March. I'll see you next month for your monthly outlook. Bye-bye now.